very, very bifurcated market. Recovery has, in fact, come much sooner to large businesses and even to a lot of larger mid-market businesses than it has to the small business market. I'm sure each of you as business owners are faced with this right now, a very, very difficult lending environment, both in terms of the acquisition multiples of debt available, as well as just working capital in the form of line of credit or asset-based lending, even though there is some progressive movement. I think the way we summarize this is there is a definite flight to quality in the debt markets. Banks and lenders, of course, make their money by lending, but there's an absence of quality credits out there just due to the amount of distress and the economic impact over the last 2 years. But I think that's very good news. I was talking to
you need to have purpose. Purpose is, you just have to have something that illustrates, in some sense, where you're going and how you're going to get there. And that's key. And the process is also key. Process has to do with planning. If you don't have, process is always involved to get from point A to point B. And process is really the thing that keeps good businesses from getting off course based on short-term things. I have a friend of mine give me a great statement. He said, look, never make a long-term decision based on a short-term problem. Whew! If I could just remember that. Never make a long-term decision based on a short-term problem. But I'm going to tell you, if you don't have good processes and you don't have good purpose, every time you will find yourself doing that. And long ago, probably when I was in private practice, that's what happened a lot. My job was to get people out of the mistakes they made from making a short-term problem a long-term solution. So the other thing is, and this is big in a family business, you don't think about this one, but this is another one I think is important. Parenting. If you're in a family business and you're leaving your family business to someone, you want to have some kind of continuity plan, you need to parent well. Because if you don't parent, some people say, oh, that's outrageous. Parent, you got to come here and talk about parenting. Well, think about it. If you have a business and you're running a business, one of the key things you talk about is how to get the people who are in your business to the next level. Your successor plan. And what you talk about is mentoring. And mentoring is just parenting when it's not your child, right? And so the idea of parenting as important to a family-held business is critical. Because if you don't parent well, you're going to have problems. And again, in this book, that's exactly what happens. Both generations, there was a parenting problem that played itself out in a sale that was ridiculous.
Estate tax considerations, remember I talked about this term. With a GRAT, you need to outlive the term in order to get the benefit of the exclusion of the assets from the estate. So, a business owner might say, well, I'm just going to retain a 20-year term, and I'll live for that whole time, so I'll have that nice income stream coming in. The problem is you have to outlive the term in order for this to work tax effectively. If you die during the term, the assets are includable. Technically a portion of the assets are includable, but the way those regulations are written, it's really anti-taxpayer, and what I tell clients is assume they'll all be includable. It may be 95% in most.
First off, determine what you're buying or selling. If you're a seller, understand what it is you have to sell. What is it about your business that makes it unique? What is it about it that will make it attractive? Determine what it's worth, as I said before. You can't ever, and you'll see later on how the process for getting value in your business, you can never tell exactly what it's worth by doing the process, but you can get a general idea, and that's going to be valuable, both in terms of saying it's not enough, and so I need to achieve more, but also being ready if that out of the blue buyer shows up, you have a good idea of what you ought to be getting for the company.